What is poppin' fight fans? And welcome back to the Mystic Hour. I'm your host, Darnell Giovanni, and I am blessed, honored. There's so many things I can say. I've been crazy in her DMs to try to get her to talk on this show, and I finally got her. On this show, we like to give roses, of course, where they are deserved. And this is a former Invicta champion, and she defended her title, a 22 fight veteran of the UFC. She has the most fights in UFC women's history, in women's UFC history. Remember that. She's the first Black woman to main event a UFC card, Miss Angela Hill.
Hello.
Welcome, Angie. Thank you so much for coming on the show
Hi.
today.
Man, what an intro. I'm always happy when I decide to do a show and then they give me this crazy intro. I feel like I'm on I don't know, Coming to America or something. It's like the queen.
She's
Yeah.
the queen to be. I'll do it.
I'm like, yes, thank you.
Absolutely, Edge. And I just want to give myself a little credit for something because when you were going to main event that card, I was the first person to bring that up to ESPN, to the UFC, and you can even
Oh,
ask your manager Brian that I was the first person to bring that up. And then they were just like, "Oh my God, he's right. Let's put that out. Let's put that out there." But I just wanted to give
yeah.
myself credit for that, and congratulations on that, of
Yeah.
course.
Thank you. It would have been nicer if I was first Black woman to win the headline, but you know how that goes. Like
I
sometimes
thought you won. I thought you won that fight.
I did. I thought I won too, but it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool having that little title attached to it, and I just hope to do more cool things.
Absolutely. And you just came coming off that win, fresh win. You looked wonderful in that fight against Emily Ducote. I gotta ask you this. There's a strawweight fight this weekend. If somebody jumps out, are you jumping in?
It depends on who it is. I got to train with Corey McKenna during her fight camp, or during my fight camp. She came down and we trained together. So if she had to pull out, God forbid, I'd definitely be ready to slide in and take her meal. But I'm not the type of person to train with someone and then try to fight them immediately after. I think that's kind of dirty. And the MMA needs a little more, I don't know, morals, a little more uh camaraderie, I feel like, between fighters. So I've always tried to stick with that.
Absolutely. And that win against Emily was probably one of your most, I think, your most dominant performance you've ever had in the UFC. She came into the UFC, had one fight. She was a champion in Invicta, and then she was ranked immediately. Do you think there was a little something weird about that, just having one fight and she's just ranked right below you, and you've been fighting for a long time, and she just has one fight and she's already in the rankings?
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to the rankings.
Yeah.
There was always I always felt like I was given the short end of the stick. Every time I do check it out, I'm disappointed. I think last time I looked at the rankings was right after Claudia Gadelia retired, and everyone moved up on the list except for me, including people who had just lost their fight. They also moved up in the list. So, they've always had something against me. I don't know what it is, but they don't like moving me up. And that's why I'm in the position where I'm at, where, you know, yeah, the losses don't help, but also my losses are against people who are top 5,
Yeah.
top 10, So I should at least be up there next to these people, especially if it was a close fight, especially if people thought that I won those fights. I should be right next to them. And instead, I moved down as soon as some new girl comes in. Amanda Lemos is ranked like top 3. No one knows how she won that fight against me. So it's a slap in the face, but it just makes me work harder. And getting these girls who are ranked lower is kind of a gift. I know I'm at another level, and as long as I'm mentally confident and I know that coming in, I know I'll smoke anyone who they give me, who is an actual like top 15 girl, like an actual like below top 10 girl. There's levels to this game, and a lot of those girls don't have the hours basically that I have. So yeah, people will keep giving me those matchups, and I'll keep being the underdog, and I'll keep smoking them, and maybe eventually people will see my worth.
Absolutely. And it's, speaking of hard work, you were flowing in there against Emily. What do you feel was different in this camp that made you, feel extra comfortable in there, even though you've been in there a lot of times, but this time you were just flowing in there?
It helps when you're able to start first, and that's one thing that I was able to get going in training. I felt like in my last fight against Lupita Godinez, I started a little slow and I ate a shot that I shouldn't have, So I was like, okay, I'm gonna beat them to the punch. I'm gonna start the volley, and then it makes it easier to dictate like when she's gonna push back. And yeah, it took her maybe 2 rounds to start actually pushing back, and then we had a fight going. But the
Yeah.
first two, I just felt like I was doing pad work, so it was kind of fun. I don't know. I think maybe she felt the same thing you felt, that man, you got ranked high a little too soon after one fight, and after those first few punches she was probably like, oh, I might be in over my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it took her a while to get out of that. Like even in between rounds, like my brother was there, so he was telling me, and then I heard in the commentary that in between the first and second rounds, she wasn't even sitting down listening to her coaches. She was just pacing back and forth, like the fuck, what the fuck? Like everyone told me I was gonna win this fight. What the fuck? So it was I don't know. I think just being more confident coming into this, just because I had that win, first of all. Another fight where I was a huge underdog. I wasn't a huge underdog this one, but I was a slight one this one. And it's just I don't know. It's like I just know in my heart that these girls aren't on my level. I know I've been there against way tougher opposition over and over again. I've seen the win, even though it didn't come to me on paper. So I just know I'm working to get back there.
Yeah. And yeah, when I saw that matchup, I was just like, "Oh my God, talk about getting thrown straight to to dogs, like right there." And I saw you were an underdog. I'm like, "What is going on? This is very weird." And I'm not one to, make bets, but that day I'm just like, "You know what? I'm gonna throw a lot on this one because
Hey.
this is about to be a performance." So, Ann, send me your cash app because I made a couple dollars from that. I got to give back what you're
Nice,
getting that
nice. Now you
win.
keep that for you. Roll it over to the next one. I'm appreciative though.
Yeah. So, are you officially? I always watch the Two Straws podcast. Are you officially on the Jessica Penny revenge tour? Because it seems like you're just, getting these ones back for her.
Yeah, it's really funny. They keep doing that for me. That's why I'm calling out Carolina, because I'm like, obviously you guys have some sort of plan where you'll have someone fight Jess and then you'll have them fight me. So hey, give me this girl that I've wanted to fight since I got into the UFC. But I don't know. It's pretty funny that they keep doing that. I think it has to do with the fact that we're ranked so closely and
Yeah.
we've been in the UFC the same amount of time, because there aren't a lot of us left. There's maybe 5 of us, maybe less than that, maybe 4 of us left from Tough.
Yeah.
I think like me, Jess, Carla, and Rose.
Rose.
So that's it. Like we're a dying breed. We're the last of the Mohegans. So I think a lot of the people, if they pass or at least get close to passing the test with Jess, they're like, let's let them get a few wins, and then let's see how they do against Angela, and then hopefully I kill their dreams for a little bit.
Yeah. And then we have usually I ask, who do you want next? I got a different ball game here. There's somebody that likes to jump up and down a weight classes, go to 125, come down back down to 115 that you fought before. And I feel that the Angela Hill today would have a completely different fight against her, and that's Jessica Andrade.
Oh
Would
yeah.
that be a fight that you'd want because she's ranked? I think she's ranked in both weight classes, and she likes to
Hmm.
jump back and forth. Is that something you'd like to do?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think the girls jumping up and down have the same pop at
Mm,
115.
mm.
Like I think it takes a bit of their soul away when they make that 115 mark. I mean, Rebus, we were supposed to fight at 115, and I think that was the last time she weighed in at strawweight was when we were supposed to fight, and then she got COVID the day after, and then every time they were trying to rebook that fight, they're like, she can do it, but at 125. And I'm like, no. Like, I walk at 125. I'm not fighting that hoe at 125. So I think a lot of those girls, it takes a bit of their like their health. It takes away their tenacity when they go up. They build that muscle to be competitive at 125, and then they try to drop back down to like get a quick win against somebody and stay in the mix. So I'd love that fight. I love a fight against Andrade Ribas. I've been trying to like needle and see if Joanna's thinking about coming back. Like
Oof, that'd be good.
any striker I feel really confident against. And like now I feel really confident against the grapplers too. Like I have solid game plans against them. I know the defense for like when I get super entangled in the submission. I've been training with much more high level jujitsu jujitsu people
Yeah.
than I used to, and much more high level wrestlers than I used to. So I feel like my game has evolved since leaving Alliance, and now I'm at Alliance BJA.
Yeah.
But I feel that confidence is showing in my striking, oddly enough. Like I'm willing to take more risk on the feet because I'm not afraid of ending up on my back. So yeah, I feel really confident about any of those. But I would that like a fight with Andrade would just make my day.
And honestly, it would be great to see you jump all the way up in the rankings, getting a victory over her,
Yeah.
and it just be like, "Hey, bye guys, I'm going all the way up now, getting that victory
Yeah.
over her."
No,
But
for sure.
yeah, but switching subjects here, you had your family with you at UFC Orlando. How important is it to have them with you there? I know they only usually come when you're on the East Coast, but does it make you feel more nervous or more comfortable when they're watching?
I think when certain things happen, you get superstitious about stuff. And I think a couple times in a row, I had lost when my family came through, and they can't
Mm,
make it to all of them.
yeah,
But I think there was one time where they came to two in a row, and I lost both, or not two in a row, but two, and I lost both of those that they came to. And then I started getting a little superstitious, like shit. If they come,
yeah,
I'm gonna lose again. But whenever you start to get superstitious about silly things like that, you just have to break the curse. You just have to um embrace that fear of something being a trend and just using that energy towards beating someone's ass. So I felt like I was able to do that. And if anything, I always remember when they would come, like back in my Muay Thai days, and when they would come in my early like UFC fights and stuff, and hearing someone who is ride or die will kill the entire row for you. Like
yeah,
you can hear that in their voice when I was screaming, "Go Angela!" Like that is a different feeling, like no one but your mom, your brother, someone blood related can give you that scream and fire you up. So it was really cool seeing having them there, and it's always more awesome there having them there after a win. It was kind of sad too because I got to meet a few of Nico Price's family.
oh,
They were
yeah,
there too, and they were on the other side of that. Like they were all bummed. They're all just like, "Man, it just sucks coming out here when your person loses." But it's part of it.
yeah,
And if anything, having family there that really care about you. They don't care about your wins, your losses. They don't care about how much money is in your bank account. They just care about you and being there for you. That makes winning or losing way better, way easier to deal with. Just because you know these guys aren't gonna unfollow you for losing a
yeah.
fight.
That's oh god, those fickle fans, that's for sure. They'll do the
Yeah.
weirdest things. But I don't mean to get all sentimental here, but I just something that I always notice is the relationship you have with Adam. And in
Aw.
in this MMA game, and this is just me from an outside perspective, there's been some issues with coach and relationship kind of things happening. But I feel like with you and Adam, you guys have such a fun relationship. What is so important that you guys have that makes it, keep it going and keep the fun going and just, not having that drama compared to, other things we've seen in MMA relationships.
We were talking about this the other day, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we got together before we started doing MMA.
Wow.
So we met as kids, like in college, student exchange on top of that.
Wow.
So I know it was one of those silly, stupid romantic comedy type stories. And he moved to New York after he graduated from school. We both met in art school, and there was just always fun things to find out about each other, but also our personalities clicked. Like
Yeah.
we had similar senses of humor. I could introduce him to things that he never seen before, and vice versa. So we always had something fun and exciting to like talk to each other about.
Yeah.
And then when we started training, we both started Muay Thai together. We were learning that together. A lot of times I would be too lazy to go, and he's like, "Well, I'm going." And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna sit here by myself, in
Yeah.
an apartment by myself. So I'd go too. And it was like our thing that we just really enjoyed doing. So I think sharing a passion really helps. Before it was art and then it was fighting. And I think just being with someone who you consider a friend before anything, because like we were in student exchange, but we had a very long courtship, like
Yeah.
we hung out for a real long time. I don't think Adam thought he had a chance. I think he was just like, this cute girl wants to hang out with me. At least that's what he says. I was like, yeah, this is fun. But after a while we started, you know messing around, and then
Yeah.
one thing happened, one thing led to another, yada yada yada. He moved to New York to be with me,
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
yeah, I think being with your friend, being with your best friend, that helps a lot. And I don't recommend everyone doing it because it's really hard, like
Yeah.
having to listen to Adam tell me what's wrong with me is a really hard thing to
Yeah.
do. um but it works, and I listen to him, I trust him, and then when I do the things that he tells me to and it works in a fight, he gets to be like, told you so. But I'm also like, hey, high five. Like, I'm happy you told me that. So I don't know. I think it's always easier when you're riding the ups. It's definitely hard on the lows, but having someone there who is just like, okay, this time we're going to do this, we're going to make improvements, we're going to make adjustments, we're going to bring these people in, we're going to search for answers to why the fight didn't go our way. It
Yeah.
always helps. And he's always been really good at like taking me out of my slumps, and vice versa, because it's really frustrating being a coach too. It's hard to be on that losing side. It's a lot of stress even when you win, just getting someone to that win, and then knowing you're gonna have to do it again in a few months. So yeah, I think we just have a good balance with each other.
That's awesome. And it's beautiful to see. I always notice it and I love the videos you guys drop for the sports betting and different things. And just like that, the video you dropped this weekend, I promise you, I could not. I've watched that thing too many times because it was
Oh,
so
yay!
well done. Every single time Andrew drop one of these skits, it's amazing. From the Donald Trump one to the Patty and Ariel one this past weekend. Who is the
Nice.
person behind these? Are you the person writing the script for these little skits, or it's a team effort?
It's a team effort.
Yeah,
This time it was mostly me and Jess, but we watched the press conference, we watched the Hawani rant, we
yeah,
watched the Patty rant, and we just kind of picked out little parts to make fun of,
yeah,
and then went for it. And Jess is actually surprisingly good at improv. Like I'll just give her like an idea, I'll be like, okay, I want Hawani to say this, and this, and then she'll run with it, and her comedic timing is like surprisingly on point. So so she's been a good addition to the team. But yeah, it's I don't know. I always knew that I could make people laugh a little bit. And that's how me and Adam connected, because he would make me laugh all the time. He's just like a comedian that doesn't want to get on stage. But yeah, it's a team effort for sure.
yeah. And you're somebody who has been on Patty's podcast. You guys, I think you
Yeah,
guys are. You can consider him a friend, right?
I think
And
so. Yeah, an
right,
acquaintance, a
acquaintance.
gym friend. Yeah.
Absolutely. He makes those trips to San Diego. UFC 282 just passed by this weekend, and you're somebody who has been in controversial decisions,
Yeah.
Did you personally feel that Paddy won that fight, or it could have gone either way, or how did you score it?
I don't remember which rounds I scored, but I definitely saw it for Gordon, and
Yeah.
it sucks because like I like Patty a lot. I think a lot of people would have reacted the way he did, where it's just like petulance.
Yeah.
Just, hey, I won that fight. I mean, when we saw the main event, Ankalev did the same thing. He's like, I won the fight. What's going on? I'm mad. Um, but it sucks because in fights like that, there's so many eyes on it that maybe Gordon might be remembered as winning that fight,
Mhm.
but when it comes to a fight like mine versus Lemos, not as many people are as paying attention to my fights as Patty's fights. So that gets that gets like swept under the rug. She's going on to fight maybe for the title next year, and I'm fighting people who are just getting brought in from Invicta. So it's a little it's just it makes me sad because I think of the trajectory that could have happened if someone like Jared Gordon could have won. Like
Mm.
you get that effect, like the Conor McGregor effect, where if you beat McGregor, that changes your life, that
Yeah,
changes your bank account, that changes a lot for you.
that's right.
So I do get the whole thing where like, okay, if the thing that Dana was saying, where he's like, well, if you know it's a close fight and it's the third round and all you're gonna do is push him up against the fence, like don't expect don't be surprised when it doesn't go your way. But at the same time, if Patty had done that, then no one would be surprised if he had won the fight. So there really needs to be more consistency in judging.
Yeah.
I'm always throwing Douglas Crosby under the bus, but
Just about I was just about to ask
I'm
that.
always I'm always talking shit about that man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't end up any of my fight cards just for
Yeah.
just for conflict of interest. Like, hey, I've
Yeah.
been talking mad shit. He's probably gonna score it against me. You shouldn't put
Mm.
him on my fight.
Yeah.
But he does it for fun, and he said
Yeah.
it on a podcast. I think he went on
Yep.
like Kelson's podcast and
He
said that
did.
he scores fights the wrong way for fun, and it definitely seemed like he did that in my Limos fight. I don't know about the Patty one because it was like 29-28, but
Yeah.
the night before he scored 50-45 for a guy who was fighting Rafian
Bel-
Stotts in
yep.
Bellator. So
Danny
it's
Sabatello.
yeah, and it's just it's wild to me that someone can just go willy-nilly with people's careers that way, because it's not just about the win bonus, it's about what that win means. If I had won that fight against Lemos, I'd be fighting number 6, number
Yeah.
7, number 4, and working my way up to the top instead of waiting for the next tough fighter who's trying to break into the rankings. And that, if I lose that fight, that's going to set me back even further. So I don't know. It frustrates me that the fighters and the fans even and the media people see completely different outcomes than the actual judges that are paid to judge. It's just crazy to me.
It's honestly really scary. But do you think that's something like, since Dana was saying, "Oh, the fight is close." How does a fighter know the fight is close? Do you think something like open scoring would help, a fighter know where they're at, and then it would change the trajectory of a last round?
Oh yeah, I think if I know I got my ass kicked the first 2 rounds, then I'm going for broke.
Yeah.
And if I know I beat them like in my last fight, I knew I was up 2 rounds, so she's gonna come out hard. And
Yeah.
it gives you a good idea of what to expect, but also how to finish the fight or how you should try to win that fight. I like open scoring. I'm not gonna be the type of fighter who's like, don't tell me, just tell me what to do. I
Yeah.
want to know so I can make those decisions to take those risks to throw some flying shit or spinning shit or something. Go for that takedown that I don't really like doing, but I know if I get on top, I can finish the fight. Like that, I think that's good. I think that would be really helpful for the fighters, and it would keep the fans just kind of knowing where fighters are getting robbed if that's happening. Because for
Yeah.
me, if I watch a whole fight, especially if it's like 5 rounds, I forget what happened in like 2, 1, 2, and 3. I might remember the fourth and fifth round, but I'll have a vague memory of like, oh yeah, wasn't he winning the first two rounds? Like, how did he lose this fight? So if you have open scoring, then right away, oh, they scored it for this guy, but he
Yeah.
definitely won that round. And I think it it'll make the conversation make more sense, where you can just immediately watch around and then go, yeah, that's wrong, or that's right, that's a good judge, that's a bad judge, and then fire the people who are consistently bad fucking
That's correct.
ass.
Let it out. Let it out.
Consistently
It's
bad.
consistent. We need more
uh,
consistency in MMA. It's starting to turn into boxing in a sense of watching
mhm.
all these decisions happening. And it's honestly very sad to see that on this end, see a fighter get one less check, to see a trajectory go different. Now you can't fight people highly ranked. It's a lot to see from this end. But I took a little bit of, weirdness in a statement that Paddy made about the media saying they're a joke. They all just want money off of fighters and et cetera, et cetera. Listen, I don't get paid. I'm interviewing now and I don't get paid for this. This is
Mm.
me wanting to talk to somebody, and spread your story. And just like, this is all for you. If you're in Paddy's position, are you going about your career the same way in a sense of to talk bad about media people who, pretty much, want to expose fighters, and there's some people who are not like that, it's half and half with media, but what would you do in his position with like, the whole Ariel thing that's happening right now?
Man, I don't even know, because
Yeah.
Patty's at the point where he doesn't need someone like Ariel. He doesn't need like the media for people to keep up with what he's doing.
Mhm.
They're going to report on him.
Yeah.
They're reporting on his podcast,
Yeah.
like that. The media is taking clips from his podcast and making articles about it. So
Hmm.
he's at the point where he's beyond media. If
Yeah.
anything, that's why he's saying it.
Hmm.
He's trying to play that game of, hey, the media is stupid, listen to my media. So I that's what he's doing. I don't think he needs to do anything when it comes to that, because that's his goal.
Yeah.
Where someone like me, I'm like a quiet storm. I like, nobody really is talking about me. Like, I don't have like crazy high numbers like those types of athletes. So I don't know. When there is an article about me, a lot of times it's something that I didn't want in a
Mm.
headline. If I have a headline of saying nice things, flowery things about my opponent, and then I say one thing that's kind of me making a joke, that'll be the headline.
Yeah.
And it's clickbait, and usually people don't click on it because they just want to write a comment underneath it
Yeah.
to comment on the headline. And it's this kind of rat king of just negativity. And I think that's what a lot of fighters don't like about the media, is the fact that negative things get clicks. So the media will write things that sound, I don't know, divisive, and that will make people click on it, and that'll feed a rumor for people who don't actually read the article, and it makes the fighter look bad
Mm.
when really they're saying something reasonable, but you have to read the article in order to see it.
To see.
So I think that's why a lot of fighters are like, ugh, the media. But I'm part of the media now, so like
Yeah.
I can't even like get mad at the media, because I
Yeah.
kind of understand that side of it. Like, I
Yeah.
understand that people are trash, and you have to give them trash, because that's what they're gonna look at. They're not gonna read a feel good story about, I don't know, um somebody going to a soup kitchen. Like, they're not going to read a feel good story about that. They're going to read what scandal someone happened, or they're going to read the thing about, a guy getting cut for doing whatever, or like, it's always the negative that gets people talking. So it's just a circle jerk, and I think that's a lot of media. And I think there's good guys in media who
Yeah.
are trying to tell fighters stories and do right by them, but unfortunately people don't read those articles as often.
And I hope we get into a transitional period of to where the better stories come out, and not all this negative energy, because there's been so much negativity in some MMA
Yeah.
media and it's hard to see. But I promise you, Angela, I'm trying to change the trajectory of this stuff. So we'll
Aw.
see what happens in the future.
I
Speaking of,
appreciate it. Keep fighting a good
absolutely,
fight.
you know, I'll keep doing it. But speaking of media, after you're done with your MMA career, I know sometimes you talk about like after a fight week, you're like, what do I do now? I don't got a fight lined up.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself doing after your MMA career is over? Obviously, it's nowhere near over, but just is it going to be in broadcasting? Is it going to be as a coach? What is something that you want to do? And you went to school for art, so that's another part that people don't know about you too, because you can do something completely different.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'll probably just join the media. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. It's I I know there's options out there. I think what I really want to do is open a gym
Nice.
and just have me and Adam running a little mom and pop gym,
Yeah.
mom and pop program. I always wanted to have a bar, and we always joked about having a gym attached to a bar,
Yeah.
and it would just be like this weird gimmicky thing, but you can actually go and train and then have a drink after you train, or yeah, just hang out and
Yeah.
see fighters come in and out. So I always thought that idea was cool. But yeah, I think coaching is in my future more than anything. Talking about fights is fun, but it's really fun game planning. And I think that's why I enjoy talking about fights, because I can watch two fighters past performances and go, oh well, he could probably do that to him, but he could also do that to him, so that part is really interesting and fun. And then it's fun when they surprise you and they don't do anything that you expected them to do. So
Yeah.
I think the chaos of MMA is really intriguing to me to tell the story, but also just building someone up and teaching them all the stuff I know, because I know so much and I've
Yeah.
had just about every experience in the cage, like I've won in every way, lost in every way. So I have a lot of, I don't know, yeah, experience to give off on people and help them not make the same mistakes I did, help them focus on things that I wish I had focused on earlier in my career. And I think I could help produce some really cool athletes, especially like on the women's side, because you don't see as many female coaches. So yeah, I think that would be in my future for sure.
That's awesome. And I remember you posting, the drinks you used to make back in the day, little tiki cocktails. And I'm
Oh
actually a
yeah.
bartender on the side besides
Hey
doing this. So what's one of your favorite cocktails to make or to have?
man, to have. I love tiki drinks, but sometimes they're a little too acidic. So
Mm,
I really like a boozy drink. Like
yeah.
I like Negronis, I like
Ooh.
old fashions. Like I'm a old lady with the bourbon, like
Yeah.
fill me up. Gin and tonic. Like I'm pretty simple. Like I can keep it simple. Whiskey soda.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to fancy drinks, I don't know. Maybe like a Mai Tai if I'm
My time.
somewhere fancy, yeah.
All right. All right. I like
What
that. All
about
right.
you? What
If you,
about you? What's your
I
go-to?
pers I'm actually a wine drinker,
Oh,
but I like to make espresso martinis, love to make a
okay.
different like a mezcal Negroni. There's a lot of things I like to play
Nice.
with, and especially the tiki cocktails. Love a little rum drink with some Aperol, kind of like mix that together and make
Ooh,
like a
yeah.
little bit bitter but still sweet at the same time. I
Yes.
mix it up. So if you're ever in LA, come see me, Ange. I got you. Drinks on me.
Hey, nice. I might be in LA this weekend, so I'll hit you up on
All
that.
right, hit me up. Seriously, come see me.
Cool.
And a couple more here, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it big time. What would you tell a younger Angela Hill, that 24-year-old that started MMA? What would you tell her?
Um, Tell her to like learn how to wrestle. I think that's that's like the one thing everyone found out uh too late in their careers, that oh man, there's a difference between someone who's been wrestling all their life and someone who's learned how to wrestle for MMA. Um and also I'd tell myself not to be in such a rush,
Mm,
because when I was 24, I was already saying I was too old to do anything with it,
yeah,
and it wasn't until I had my first couple of fights against people who had been training all their life and just smoking them, that I was like, oh, maybe I can do this, maybe I got a little talent that I just never tapped into until just now.
yeah,
So I think because I started late, I was always in a rush. I was always trying to fight the top girls. I was always trying to prove how good I was, and I felt like there was a limit. I felt like as soon as I turned 30, I was going to turn to dust. and it's not the case. I'm in better shape than I feel like I was when I was beating girls up at 24. Like I feel like a monster now, and I feel like I beat young Angela's ass.
Yeah.
So so if anything, I would tell her to take her time,
Yeah.
don't be in a rush, enjoy learning, enjoy the process, and eventually everything will come together and learn how to wrestle.
Absolutely. And right here on the Mystic Hour, gratitude is the best attitude, I always feel. What are three things you're most appreciative for right now in your life?
um my husband, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, a supportive mom. Like
Yeah.
she every harebrained idea that I have, from being an artist to being a professional fighter, she's like, you could do it,
Yeah.
and I think about 90% of moms would have been like, no, get a real job.
Yeah.
So that for sure. And just I'm grateful for the luck I've had. I've had really good luck, just being able to get into the UFC. First of all, um I remember there was some stat when I was in high school, where it was like, oh, the 1% of people who are actually good at a sport will ever become professionals in that sport. And I never thought that I would be a professional athlete. Like, that
Yeah.
was the furthest thing from my head. I thought I was going to be a veterinarian or something. I don't know. So I don't know, just the way that the chips fell, like, just from me focusing on being a fighter, to getting the opportunity to be on Tough, to actually getting on the show. And just, yeah, it's just a lot of luck is involved with MMA. And even though I've had a lot of bad luck with judges, just the fact that I'm here, the fact that I haven't gotten cut, the fact that people recognize my abilities,
Yeah.
and they're still paying me good money to do it. I feel like I really lucked out when it comes to that. So yeah. Those are three
Absolutely. And
things.
you are the, I hate when they call you the female Cabo or Cerrone. No, you are the Angela Hill. You're yourself. You are not somebody else. And you step into there and to fight at any point in time that they call you. So we appreciate you for that, Angela. Seriously. And I appreciate you for coming on today. I hope we can talk and do this again soon, of course. And watch Angela on her she got a couple different podcasts. She got the Two Straws. She got the podcast with Karen Bryant. She is on the UFC broadcast as well. We haven't seen you in a little bit, but hopefully we get to see you again. And hopefully you get that fight with Karolina, and hopefully it's in London and you go crazy with those people over there, because you deserve that. But Angela, you want to say anything to your fans, the good, the bad, whoever? The floor is yours.
Oh, I don't know. Keep watching. Keep watching. Especially hate watching that aerial video. Man, I got
Yeah.
so many views on that. I'm like, I'm gonna pay my phone bill with that reel. So keep watching it.
That's
Yeah,
right. I just
thank
got that
you.
little notification. I can make money off of reels too. So I'm going to start making these skits as well.
Do
So let's
it.
see.
Do it.
And thank you so much for coming on. We'll talk soon and I'll keep watching you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.